Hey y'all, my name is Tamara Andress. I am your Fit and Faith podcast host, and I am pumped to be here. Just me, no words, no scripts, no intros, no outros. I love authenticity. I hope to breed vulnerability, and I usually do this alongside another dreamer, mover, shaker, entrepreneur, passionista is what I love to call them. If you're a dude, then a dude. But I am loving just coming together in community with other people to share their high and low stories, to share their journeys to come back, because I believe ultimately that's where God would have us. He would have us on the mountaintop. And even though we learn a ton in the pit and in the valley, God would want us right now, especially in this season of life, in this time of our culture, to shine. And so here I am. I want to teach you how to shine. I want to be alongside you when you get your glow. I want to catapult you into your calling, whatever that is. So this isn't a fitness podcast. This is not a religious banter, though we preach Jesus all day long. And this is not just about nutrition or health or wealth, though I like some green, and I know you do too. It's not okay for us to not be okay with talking about all of these things in unison. You guys, we don't just need a mental health podcast. We don't just need a fitness podcast. We don't just need a religious, spiritual podcast. It needs to blend. This is what Fit and Faith is all about. It's all about creating alignment, connectivity. It's about pursuing your wholeness and claiming it over your life and over the lives of the loved ones that you have around you in your community. So thank you for tuning in. I would love to get to know you more. You can like, review, subscribe, whatever it is. Send me an email, DM me. It's me. I have an amazing team alongside me, but you guys are getting me for now. So enjoy. I'm so pumped to have a coffee conversation with you, is what I'd love to call them. Don't have my coffee right now, but I have it in my system, as you can see. All the love. Let's do this together and keep going for your dreams, y'all. I am so honored, first off, because I know your schedule is all over the map, but probably everybody's is, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I am grateful to introduce you to the people on the other end of this who are going to listen right now, who are going to tune in later in the future. This is the infamous Joseph Stallings.
It does sound infamous.
It is. You're going to be, I mean, you're already there. In my book, you are. In our home, actually, because the man crush that my husband has on you is in and of itself really amazing. And it's not just his voice, but it's just your heart. And it's the vulnerability that you have towards people at any given time frame.
I appreciate that.
It's pretty amazing, and I love that about you. And as I was like reflecting on having you on, I was thinking about the wisdom that you always bring to the table. And I think so often people think that wisdom has to do with years, but I really think it has to do with the living in the years.
Yeah.
And you've done a lot of living.
Definitely.
Of living.
I've probably done more living in a couple of years than most people should do.
That's true, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's a part of the walk, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So Joseph Stallings, I call him Jay.
Yeah.
You might know him from Parkway. He is a voice around the city in so many different ways, beyond just being behind the mic when it comes to music, but just on the stage and sermons and with CBN, and you play so many roles.
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome. I'd love for you to just kind of introduce yourself, because I could probably completely mess it up or put on way too many titles.
I guess the most important thing is that, I'm a lover of Christ.
Yeah.
Definitely love God. And that I'm a husband, I'm a father, friend. Mm-hmm. So I think I kind of go by that more than anything else.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with somebody today, and we were talking about, he was like, the authority that you walk in is just, it's crazy. I was like, yeah, most people don't even know that I'm a pastor.
Yeah.
Like, I don't introduce myself.
Sure.
I just walk in and I am who I am, but I'm never going to be my title. I'm always going to be who I am.
Yeah, so good. But I think that's the reason that you allow access to knowing God in such a different way than what the standard, whether it's pastor or just standard person, does.
Yeah.
And I've always admired that about you, because it's whether you're on the stage or you're behind the mic or you're just sitting next to me at a restaurant or bar, it's like I can relate to you at all points.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I hope for that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I literally told God, I said, if I suck at this, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So don't make me suck.
Because that make me awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to suck.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
You don't
so,
suck. You definitely don't.
I think that, and I think just being able to be transparent and not have this like, you can't get here type of persona turns people off from Christ constantly.
So true.
You know what I mean? Or just relationships.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of friends that just shut down.
Yeah.
And outside of me, they don't really talk to anybody because they're like, everybody's fake. You're the only real person I know. And I'm like, well, that's sad because I know real people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And really all you have to do is not be unreal to be real.
Right. Well, it's true. And I've found that as I've walked into my own vulnerability over the last few years, that people, one, need it, want it, and it gives them this opportunity to also stand in that vulnerability.
Yeah.
When you're like, hey, I'm messed up. Like, this is the stuff I've gone through.
Yeah.
This is the mess I've made. This is the imperfections that I carry on a daily basis. And there's still going to be that one removed person who's going to put all those titles, all the shame on you as much as they can. But if we can walk in our imperfection, it allows other people to see what grace means on such a tangible level.
But I mean, like, think about this. That's how you tell the price of a diamond is by the imperfections.
Yes.
Of it, right?
Oh, that's so true. That's so good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's important.
Yeah.
And also not giving resumes when you meet people.
Yeah.
Like, I've done this, I've done this, I've been leading worship these years, I've been pastoring this, and I feel like, you know, I come from the street rules. Anybody who tells you about themselves way too much is probably not what they say.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like, before I became, you know, everything that I am now, I was in the streets dealing cocaine and drugs all over the place and drinking and, you know, that gang life.
Which is bananas to me.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't mean that you've had to change you to be where you're at now.
Yeah.
Your heart changed.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the best thing, is that you didn't like break barriers with people. You didn't like break down the bridges that were already cultivated in those scenarios. You kept them. If anything, they're stronger now.
Yeah, because I'll still punch somebody in the face.
Exactly. Which you should, as you should. Especially like with coming from a walk like that, there's fears that can be accompanied by that. There can be the what ifs. And I know from pieces of your testimony that you've experienced crazy trauma in those situations.
Yeah.
So it's not like that just magically goes away because now you have Jesus in your heart.
Right.
You know,
I had to deal with a lot of those issues, like face a lot of my inconsistencies and realize they weren't actually based on everybody else, that it was me that was the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when you're introduced to that concept, well, it's actually you that's the problem, then you really have like, I always say this, once your eyes are open, they can't be closed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Once you know it's there. Like, you can walk past a mess, but if you never pick it up, it's still your fault that it's a mess.
That's
right?
so true.
You know, I tell my kids all the time, I'll watch them drop something and then walk right over it. Or one of their brothers and sisters drop something. And then they just walk right past it. And I'm like, you didn't see that?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I did, but it wasn't me who dropped it.
Right.
But your eyes are open to it. It should be you to pick it up.
Right. Taking ownership in that. Absolutely.
And so I think that happens even in life, right? I might not have been the one to drop this or hurt that person, but I can tell somebody did. So is it my job to look past it?
Wow.
And like overlook it? Or is it my job to confront that thing? And by confronting doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. Confronting just means stepping up to it and saying like, you know, this is what I see. And I think that's what happens. God's given me ability to do that in settings where it doesn't seem like that should be done. Like in the bars, in the streets. You know, talking to people and telling them like, man, like God really loves you. I see this about you.
Wow.
I want to encourage you with this. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not pressing anything down their throat, but I'm telling them what I see, what God has gifted me with. And if he gifted me with it to see it, then he obviously thinks that you're pretty precious.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to like understand that concept of prophetic.
Right.
Because I think so many people, they can't wrap their head around it. They think it's like this otherworldly experience that they don't have access to.
Right.
And it's really just honing in on like our ear.
Yeah, using it in a safe place. Like I always challenge people, especially like my friends, like, what are you hearing from God?
Yeah.
About me. Tell me something about me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I end up throwing them into this like big whirlwind of like I never even realized that I could hear about God in those terms. And some of these people are people that's been in church a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of them aren't. Some people that never went to church.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like I realize that God wants to talk to everybody. Like nobody has a commodity on the voice of God.
Yeah, it's so good.
But everybody's trying to, right? We're all trying to monopolize on, especially churches. You know, and being a pastor, like I get it.
Yeah, sure.
You know, but everybody's trying to monopolize on the God. But my thing is like maybe there's somebody that the church that I go to, the church that I shepherd, doesn't fit that.
Yeah.
But I might have a friend, right? That their church fits exactly what they need.
Absolutely.
And I think that we're not coming together enough to have those conversations, to hang out, to see like, man, I think you would really fit in this setting because they have what you need.
Well, you know, they're looking at it. You're that's a number. That's that's somebody tithing.
Right.
That's a family that does this and volunteers here and does this and that's so not what God would have us do.
And that's the whole purpose, right? Like anything that you set up and you set up yourself, that you make successful yourself, then you have to maintain that success yourself.
Yeah, that's so true.
But when I'm doing things that God wants me to do, following the way that God wants me to follow, then it's on Him.
Yeah.
It's no longer on me.
Yeah,
the pressure is
amazing.
no longer on me.
Yeah.
The pressure is now what He carries, and He can carry it.
Right.
I can't.
Right, absolutely.
Right, because I'm flawed. I'm messed up. I might have another thought about a way I should go or do something different. But if God's saying, I'm the one maintaining this in the first place, just follow me. Who set you here?
That's good.
I'm like, you did. Okay, then allow me,
let me do it.
to do it. The steps of a good man are ordered, right? I was in the military before.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I was in the Air Force.
What?
Yeah, I got kicked out.
That's crazy. I had no idea how long.
Like 2.5 years. 3
Okay,
years.
okay.
And then I got kicked out.
That in the middle of your like street walk or like how did
Yeah, right in there.
Okay,
I was still in street.
Okay.
Really streets. And,
That's amazing.
Yeah, I got into a couple fights while I was out there, and they were like, okay, you could go to Korea or get out on a general discharge. I was like, I'll get out. Because I was just having my daughter at that time.
Okay.
I was like 18.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
Still
when I found out, you know. Because
Yeah.
I went in straight after high school.
Okay.
So I wasn't even 18 when I went in the military.
Wow, that is so young.
I think I was 17.
Yeah,
I just had a waiver signed and everything and went straight in.
Man.
Yeah.
So 2.5 years is still like a decent amount
well,
of
a
time.
little longer.
Yeah.
A little longer. But yeah, about 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
But it was
I
definitely a world.
That's the thing. Every time I like get to talk to you, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, that's crazy. There's always some more living that you did I didn't know about.
I've definitely had a good life.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Definitely
That God can then use all of that, whether it was the right thing, the wrong thing, the good thing, the bad, whatever, however you want to label what it is that you were doing. It's like that testimony is just, there's so much to it.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes when people find themselves in front of the Lord, face down, eyes lifted up, wherever you are, highs or lows, people often even then consume Christianity from a space of comparison.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, hold on, my testimony is not as big as him, so his God must be bigger.
Right.
Or my testimony is not as like wow as his or hers, but at the very same time, like all of those pieces are so purposed.
Right.
If you can get out of that comparison mindset.
Comparison is only stopping to look at somebody else, right?
Yeah.
But if you're stopping on your journey, if you have to stop and look at somebody else, then you're actually stopping your journey.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah, it's true.
Like, I don't mind reflecting
Sure.
on somebody. Like, man, I really love that about them.
Sure.
You know what I mean? God make me and mold me. I really like this aspect of this person. You know what I mean? I love their heart. Like, you know, you had my friend on a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
Jesse.
Yeah.
And we're pretty close.
Yep.
And we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And his thing is, like, his prayer life is something that I envy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But I don't want to compare my prayer life.
Sure.
I also have 4 kids and 1 on the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what I've realized is my prayer has to change in saying, like, well, now I have to pray in everything.
Right.
As I'm
Right.
walking, as
Yes,
I'm talking, as I'm
that's so
dealing
true.
with things, as I'm driving. Like,
Yeah.
now I'm getting to spend that time with God. And then
Yeah.
there's days where I'm just like, okay, this is my time to spend with God. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Kids, I'm going to spend time with God. Doesn't mean I don't want to spend time with you.
Right.
But this is what I need to do. Because without that, then I can't pour out myself into other people, because then I become empty. And if I'm empty, then I'm just pouring out emptiness.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's just the concept on the same thing of like hurt people. It's
Yeah.
like whatever you're being filled with is what's going to abundantly flow out of you,
Right.
good or bad.
Yeah, you could either be the bag of chips or
yeah.
make your own chips.
Yeah, that's
right?
good. Yeah.
Like nowadays, like you open a bag
Yeah.
of chips and you open that big bag and it's like half.
It's so
It's
frustrating.
half.
Yeah.
I'm paying more
Yeah.
for what half is given to me.
Oh, that's so true.
Nowadays, right?
Yeah.
And so we walk into these churches, we walk into these ministries, and a lot of it is air.
Yeah, wow.
Right. You're not even getting any substance. You're just getting a whole lot of air.
Wow.
And what happens is the package looks great, right?
So true.
We're taught that. Look at the package,
Oh,
look at what's
yeah.
going on. And then we get into it and then we realize that it's a bunch of hot air, and then we're disappointed and blaming the church for something that we should have waited to realize in the first place.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to do though,
You know what I mean?
because
Like that bag was that bag before I even got there.
yeah, it's true.
That church was a bunch of hot air before I even got there.
Yeah.
And then I go and I get caught up, and then I realize it's hot air, and then I want to blame
Then
the
you're
church
not,
instead. I'm not saying like, God, this is on me. Like, I should have listened to you.
Right.
Where am I
Right.
going?
Right.
You know.
Well, I think that's in any portion of our lives too, that you can see from the outside, because I'm into marketing, marketing. It's everything, right?
Yeah.
Like if you can market well, you can sell well.
Oh yeah.
And so that's what everything has become, this like pretty with a bow tie.
Yeah.
And you're amazed by, wow, look at what's the package that's being presented.
Right.
And you would think because this package looks this way that it is all the glory. Yet you're missing out on so much goodness just because you're so focused on the outside.
Yeah.
And that's, that's a human being. Like, oh, she looks good. He looks good.
Oh yeah.
Where's that heart? Like, show me that first.
Yeah, we've been caught up in that a couple times.
Oh yeah.
Man, especially
Yes, sir.
the Virginia Beach.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's the thing in and of itself, and it's interesting that it applies to so many parts.
Everything in life.
And it's wild the way that God has like aligned certain parallels.
Yeah.
And I think every generation at any point has those different parallels that they can really see it in. But in a social media driven world, everything is based around that.
And I think that's why I try not to make decisions really quickly.
Yeah, that's a good advice. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a hard thing because a lot of times people want answers immediately.
Yeah.
And you're just like, man, this one decision is going to be for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Do I make it quickly or do I just give it a little time? Because if it's going to be for the rest of my life, I think I might want to give it a little bit more time.
Yeah, you can handle
like,
the
let
lead.
me process it and go in. Me and my wife were having a conversation the other day, and it's funny because we were upset at each other.
Yeah.
Right? And she was saying, like, I'm telling you these things and you're not giving me an answer.
Yeah.
And so my response was like, you deserve the right answer. So I'm not just going to, I have to listen to what you're saying and how you're feeling, and then I have to process that and then return an answer to you.
Good.
Right? Because you deserve for me to understand what your feelings are, even if I don't agree with the feeling, right? Yeah. They're your feelings, and so they're valid to you. Right. And so I have to hear them and process them for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, and I've learned that in the last maybe year.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're so quick Everything is quick.
Like, I want to argue with you because I don't agree about your feelings, but you're telling me this is how you feel. But I'm telling you, you don't feel that way.
Exactly. I went to a portion of a marriage conference. We stepped out early. Hopefully that doesn't say something about our marriage, but we go to therapy. So we felt like it was similar. So we went, and they were talking, a large portion of it was about dumb fights.
Yeah.
And they were saying the magnitude of dumb fights that we have within our marriage on a consistent basis that pulls away from the joy of the moment, joy of the vacation, joy of whatever is intentional at that point. And then that supersedes everything because you're having this silly like this guy was talking about, they got in a fight. They were in London and they got a fight about buying sweatshirts for souvenirs.
Yeah.
And it ended up being this whole huge fight that then tainted the whole evening. Yet they're in London on a vacation for their anniversary, and they couldn't see past that.
Right.
So to have that wisdom and to say, okay, this is the dumb fight, and recognize this is really dumb, but it's not dumb to you. Otherwise you wouldn't have brought it up. And let me process it a bit more before I just come back at you, and it ruins everything else.
Because my response then might be something that you don't want to hear. Right. But when you sit there and think about it, like, I've never made a good emotional decision. I have scars on my body from making emotional decisions and trying to get to somebody, like punching through glass or going through a fight with somebody that had a knife or guns and violence. And all of that is emotional decisions. Quick, fast. I'm making it by the way that I feel in this moment and this time. But what I know about emotions is emotions are fleeting. Right? They come and go. So I need to get to the place where I'm not feeling that emotion and make my decision from there. Because that's actual level ground, right? You don't build a house on the rocks like that.
Right.
You have to find a level, or you have to do something to level that ground to make it, right? But we keep on building emotional houses constantly, and we're thinking that they're going to stand the test of time, but they're not, because it can't be built right. So when you build a house, they have to get the ground, they have to excavate the ground to figure out what's under there, and can they build a house there, right? So they have all these surveys and ways of doing it, these ground tests and all this stuff. But we skip all that stuff first. We just say, hey, there's a plot of land. I'm going to conquer that land and we're going to build on it. And then we wonder why in the next year that house falls apart. That relationship falls apart.
That's so true.
That friendship falls apart.
It's interesting because well, first off, I have to say this because it was on my brain. I went to high school at Ocean Lakes locally, and it had all these rumors that it was sinking. And it's sinking, but the smallest amount that it won't ever have an issue. But they decided to build next to this farm, this factory, and the soil is constantly wet. So the whole building is literally sinking.
Oh, man.
So really interesting that you said that. But also at the same time, if you're thinking about it from the relationship, because I was immediately thinking of marriage. As you were saying that, and I get to I don't know if perform's the right word. I get to oversee. I get to tie the knot between two people for the first time. And I'm so excited. It's for my cousin coming up in July. And
congratulations.
Thanks. It's going to be amazing. I was so honored. I thought she was about to ask me to be a bridesmaid. I kind of expected it. And so when she brought that out, I just lost it. I was bawling.
Man.
I'm that's so cool. No greater honor, honestly, in that experience. But I am thinking of their wedding and their marriage as you're saying that, and they've been together and really lived life for 6 years. They've had so much happen, turmoil and emotion and people coming at them. They're a interracial, marital relationship, and so there was a lot of flack about that. They live in the middle of Indiana. So where are they, how are they rooting themselves?
Exactly.
And it took them completely removing themselves to root themselves, which is a really hard thing to do. Something I'm experiencing in my own family right now, because you have all of this enmeshment that feels so comfortable. And yet God is has told them, this is purpose. There's so much more to you all than what the eyes are seeing from your community.
And I feel like you could speak to that so well about like how people view you from your ethnicity versus other things when it comes to the table.
Oh yeah, I mean, I normally I probably look like a hoodlum.
You look great
Yeah,
today.
thank you.
I love
Like
that shirt.
I'm gonna be on Facebook Live. I better put on something nice.
Love it.
But most people think that,
Yeah.
and it's funny. I was in this church, and I was setting up, and I guess one of the bishops or somebody was there, and like I rock a hat all the time. I
Yeah.
wear hats all the time.
Of
That's
course.
just what I do.
Yeah.
I have hair. I like hats.
I like hats. I love hats
That's
too.
just a part of me.
Yep.
Right. And the bishop calls me over there. I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
But it was his church.
Yeah.
But we were using the building for something, and he was like, "You have to take off your hat in the house of God." So I patted him on the back and just walked off.
Yeah.
And then I got up there and I led worship.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, he was like, "Man, that was so anointed."
Yeah.
I was like, "It was because of my hat." You know what I mean? Like I was being funny, but I'm like, we view the way that people are and what they wear, and that I don't know why people view that of how close they are to God by what they look like.
Oh my gosh, totally.
I found some people that were homeless that were way closer to God than some of the people I've seen driving around and saying that they're close to God.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
think the heart of the matter, where are people's hearts?
Yeah.
You could tell a lot about somebody about how they speak and
Well, and it can,
where they are.
at the same time, like, luckily you were grounded in who you were at that moment. In a contrary situation, my uncle, who's lives down in, he's been Southern Baptist, lives in Myrtle Beach, has been in the church since he was like 16 years old. And when he first went into, he long before that, but for him, his own relationship. And he went in and he was wearing like a short sleeve collared shirt with slacks. He thought he looked really presentable and great. It was midsummer in South Carolina. And a man comes up to him and says, "You're naked." He was like, "I'm sorry, sir. I'm not sure what you're talking about." And he was like, "Please don't come to church here unless you're clothed appropriately." So he immediately like took in what was happening around him, and it was like at the time it was in a Southern Baptist with like the long sleeves, collars, suit jackets, the girls with the long hair, the dresses not showing any skin, and he immediately was like convicted in the wrong way, convicted by the outside versus being convicted at the heart.
Oh yeah.
And so for almost 4 decades, he walked in that conviction, that negative conviction. About 3 years ago, he had a massive change of heart based on a conversation that he had at a carnival. And someone just talking to him and just was like, "I just so appreciate," it was at a carnival, so he was outside of the church.
Right.
So he was wearing shorts,
Right.
wearing a shirt, and he like was able to be a part of the salvation of like 15 different people that day. And he realized in that instant, and it took that experience 40 years later to say, "I don't need all of this in order to touch the heart."
I almost don't trust it
Right?
now.
Yeah.
I've been, my parents were pastors. My dad was a bishop.
Yeah,
So I've been in church a long time. So I've had a chance of seeing a lot of hypocrites. Right?
Yeah.
So I almost don't trust it if it's suited and booted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah. It's true. Like,
and we watched. Me and my wife watched this show called Greenleaf, and it's about like this church and all the politics and everything that goes on around it. And I've been a part of church, like I said, a long time, so I've seen it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
and I'm like laughing.
Yeah.
We're laughing during this show. Like that's so right.
That's
like,
so true.
We've been through this, and in your uncle's case, it's so sad that he had to go that long because of one word that was divisive from somebody in the church.
Yep. And it wasn't, they didn't come with the Bible and say, "Hey, God says you have to do da 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 da."
So what I realize is I have to even be careful what I say to people because it could either make or break their relationship with God, what they're trying to do.
What a huge weight.
Like you think about it, you're like, man, I have to make sure I'm not religious.
Yeah, gosh.
Like I got to make sure I'm not a Pharisee or a Sadducee.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I mean?
true. Yeah.
Like I know the word, but I got to make sure that I know relationship more than I know everything else.
So true. You're really good at relationship. I
hope
can
so.
tell you that. That's for sure. And it's interesting because that same situation from the siblings' perspective, my mom, she was completely like away from the church because of all of those things and many more that occurred in those religious spaces that it took her the contrary 40 years for him to come to her, apologize for everything that he had put on a front for.
Wow.
He called it a ball and chain. He called it this experience of like, I hate that that's where I was, and I hate that it turned you away from God.
Wow.
And so they just had this incredible time together after, they've always been kindred because they're kin.
Yeah.
But they deeper than that still. Because of everything they went on in their childhood. So to have that experience and simultaneous to my mom, like opening her heart to the Lord, she was just blown away. And she didn't need that. She didn't need him to come say that because she had already formed her own opinion and her own truth of, I don't need that religion. I need him.
Right.
And we all just need him.
Right.
And people can't see past the facade of the front, the package, in order to get to like the tiniest speck.
That's because we're taught, like you said, we're taught that.
Yeah.
We've been taught that for the last, 80 plus years?
Yeah.
Even longer than that. Advertising, think about it.
It's so true.
Been taught that.
Yeah.
Look the part.
Yep. Look the part first.
Look the part
Then
first.
you can,
Right?
Yeah.
Go on an interview, dress up.
So true.
Talk nice.
It's funny though, because like even like from the interview perspective, I have a lot of people going through that season of their life right now, and we have LinkedIn, and you've got Indeed, and you got all these like abilities to get a piece of paper. Now LinkedIn gives you a little bit more of a face value with that experience of a profile, but you're taught to present yourself just like you said at the beginning. I could write down all my accolades, but I choose to turn the paper blank.
Right.
And I've always appreciated the way that you all approach in Parkway, even Pastor Robbie, who
definitely.
say like, I'm not going to, my name is not Pastor Joseph Stallings. My name is not Pastor Robbie Jones. My name is not Pastor Anthony Hart. When you decide that that's who I am to you, I'll claim that name.
Right.
But until then, it's not, it doesn't matter.
It's weird still, like when people call me pastor. I'm like,
Yeah. Me? Are you
there's
sure?
a pastor in the room? There's a pastor in the room.
We gotta calm down.
Everybody, stop.
That's so
There's a pastor in
awesome.
the room.
Yeah.
Because I'm just Jay, man.
Yeah.
I'm just Jay. Let me be that first.
Yeah.
Find out who I am from
Yeah.
that standpoint. Because I feel like, man, relationship is so important. And being able to let somebody see, like you said, the vulnerability, that's even a thing.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say, Pastor Robbie is, man, the way that he just leads is, I haven't met a lot of leaders like him.
Yeah.
And I've met a lot of leaders.
Yeah.
I've had my chance to meet a lot of people who say they are great.
Yeah.
And they're really not that great.
Yeah.
He is what he is, and he says what he says, and he means it.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about him.
Yeah.
He always says, he was like, if I give my trust to you, that's the best I can give to you.
Yeah.
If I trust you, like I'm giving you my trust.
Yeah. It's true, and it's like such a hard thing to do, and I feel like I went through a season where I did it easily.
Right.
And then you get burned.
Right. And then you don't do it at all.
And then you're the opposite. You're on the opposite wing. You're like, dang, she's like tough. Like I can't break her open.
Yeah.
And that happened to me so many different ways, and it happens to everyone in different portions of their life. But there are those specific situations that you hold on to. So recently I've been experiencing that a lot in family situations, and somebody said, they were telling me, I've seen the growth in you, Tamara. I've seen how strong you've gotten as this has happened, and I know it still hurts and I know it's still painful, but you're so strong. And their advice was, just don't harden your heart, thicken your skin.
That's a good one.
And I was like, Man, that's so true, because I have such a generous heart. I have such a trusting heart. I have such a giving spirit about me that I've had since I was little. But I was starting to like close off and be like, if I can't trust them, how can I trust? Yeah. And
that's tough.
then you lean on God, because that's all I had to understand, to comprehend. And I didn't even know in my own home if I was like in a trusting environment. Yeah. So just to have your trust shaken is a really difficult thing.
Man, like you had my wife on.
Yeah.
And she talked about like that, and us, our journey through trusting each other and finding trust again, and kind of going through that. It's difficult because she had an affair, and then I was just like, I'm done. Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna trust people. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna trust nobody. Yeah. Like the very person that I love, like, so who, like you said, who can you trust? And I kind of have this thing where I normally take about a year to be friends with somebody for real. Yeah. It takes about a year because of that trust. Sure. Because I'm like, I know that I'm a good friend. Mm-hmm. I know that I'm like there. Yeah. You need me and we're friends. You call me. Yeah. I'm there. Show up. Yeah. Right. I'm loyal. Yeah. I have a lot of friends that tell me I'm loyal to a fault, because like I'll just go. Show up. Like, but that's also a strength too. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And so like learning those waters is one of the things that I'm constantly trying to reevaluate and learn again, because it might work with one person. Like I have a friend that we got close really quickly. Right. But then the next person that came, I'm struggling. Like, like, I don't know. Yeah. But I'm thinking like, oh, I should, because this last one was like that.
And it worked out amazing. Yeah.
But this one is like, I don't know.
And that's a good thing to be, because that cautiousness will also like aid you. But it can also hinder. Like you said, like it's a strength, but it's a weakness at the same time.
So it's one of those things you walk through like constantly. It changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be contingent on every situation and every season. And I am thankful that I continue to get the opportunity to test my trust. Yeah. You know, because we could just block it all off and just say, nope. But I don't feel like without relationship, which is what we kind of going back to, without that, you're starved from what I feel we're all purposed to do. Oh, yeah. And that's love.
We're meant to be relational, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise Adam would have just been hanging out by himself.
Yeah, and everything in this world is trying to pull us apart from relational. Right? Yeah. Like Facebook is great, but then...
the disconnect.
Yeah. You can talk about people you don't even know. Yep. Right. Yep. You can post things you don't even know. Any social media. Say the things without ever confronting that person face to face is wherein if you were sitting in that front of that person, would you say the same thing? Yeah.
Well, would you say emotional action, just like you said at the beginning. And it's sad, like having you on in such a short duration from when the tragedy, happened last week here in Virginia Beach. It's I think so heavy on people's hearts, and to hear and know that like that person had the gumption to take the social media driven like disconnect and bring it to face, eye to eye, and still emotionally respond in such a catastrophic way. But to know that even though relationship is like where he was probably completely broken in. Right. I mean, he was in the same building with all those people and probably just felt completely isolated. Right. And so for us as Christians, but also just as people, just as a human beings, whether you're in your faith or not, like to recognize that that's a constant need in people's lives. And that's why I like paying it forward and like making eye contact and holding the door or taking that extra moment and not being at supersonic speed all the time, though that's what we're so used to.
That is the issue right there. Yeah. Yeah. Being at supersonic speed. We get everything quickly. We want what we want, so we don't deal with disappointment because everything's so accessible so quickly. Yeah. Right. Even when
the numbing upset, of disappointment.
Yeah. Right.
Is like so
we're turning
easily
to
accessible.
Some drugs or alcohol or whatever, or pornography or relationship. I'm gonna sleep with this person so I can feel better about myself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Whatever it is that makes you try to speed up that. Yeah. But the thing is about once that is done, the issue is always still there.
Yeah. And it's just like you said at the very beginning, like it ends up still coming back to you.
Oh yeah.
And the conversation with Anthony when he was on the podcast was about that mirror moment.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, regardless of all of those other, whether as fast as you're going, as slow as you're going, whether your prayer life is this, whether your prayer life is this, whether you have relationships or you don't, or you have trust or you don't, you're still at the end of the day alone.
Yeah.
And so if you can find solitude a peaceful place, because you have that constant of a God being there with you all the time, having that relationship, that vertical relationship, helps every single horizontal relationship.
Yes.
Every day, all day.
Yes.
Because you're never actually alone.
Right. And I wish, in the Bible they have so many stories about like how we have to see ourselves or see others.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, Anthony was talking about the mirror,
Yeah.
and we do have to see ourselves, but then we have to see what's in other people too at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is hard, right? Because we all want to be self-indulgent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to go into my own world, do me, do what's best for me, and everything like that. But I think about the woman with the alabaster box. Like, it said that she heard that Jesus was coming.
Yeah.
In the word, it says that.
Yeah.
She heard that Jesus was it was actually Simon's house.
Yeah.
He was a Pharisee. It's not the same Simon
Okay.
Peter, but
Yeah.
it was the name of Simon.
Yeah.
And she goes there, and Simon says if he knew who she was, then he wouldn't. If he was a real prophet, and knew what she did, then he wouldn't let her touch her.
Oh, wow.
Touch him like that.
Yeah.
Because she brought her alabaster box. She poured out the perfume
Yeah.
on his feet. She cried and she dried his feet with her hair.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Everybody knew who she was when she walked in, but nobody stopped her from getting Jesus.
Yeah.
We as the church, we see people that come in and we know. Some of us feel what's going on in them. And instead of just looking and talking about them, why don't we take them to the feet of Jesus?
That's really good.
Instead of just saying, hey, well, we know that they're a prostitute. We know that they're a drug dealer. We know that they have issues. And you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's so true.
We can't be worried about where people came from. We have to be worried about where we're trying to take them.
Yeah, where they're going.
Where they're
So
going.
true.
So are we the catalyst to get them there?
Yeah.
Or are we the catalyst to push them away?
Yeah, and that's the exact example of my brother or my mom and her brother. It's really interesting because even from the perspective of her with her hair and like the whole concept of washing your feet is just it means a lot more to me when I actually experienced it for the first time. That's something I would encourage to like look into and comprehend. Even with the marriage coming up, like to see that experience between a husband and a wife is just unbelievable. But we all all of our feet are dirty.
Yeah.
There's no one person who has not stepped in mud.
Right.
Not one person.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of owning that difference and variation. But like even just today, I was reflecting on the fact that everyone talks about celebrating being unique. Mm-hmm. Everyone talks about celebrating our differences and like stand up for what you believe in and be that one, the difference, the world changer. Mm-hmm. But I think we need to do more of celebrating our similarities than we do need to celebrate our differences. Because at the end of the day, we all are human. Yeah. We all have the same shaped heart. Yep. Our DNA is different, sure. Our ancestry is different, sure. Right. But we all need that same thing. Yeah. And ideally, we all end up in the same place. Right. And so why necessarily, and I understand the value behind like that uniqueness and celebrating your individuality and your gifting and not trying to be somebody else. But the very same moment, like let's link arms with our brothers and sisters who are different and celebrate the similarities in that. And that's the whole concept of community over competition. I mean,
that's the whole point of like a lot of times like some of the mother groups and things like that. Sure. Like it's because we have kids.
Yeah, right. Right. That's so true, yeah.
We have kids. Yep. We're all similar in that we have kids.
Yep.
I might have more kids than you.
Yep.
You might not. Yep. I might have boys, you might have girls. Yeah. We might have both.
That's good.
But we have kids. Yeah. And so because we have kids, there's a common ground where we can meet and we can talk about things that nobody else could have talked about.
Right.
That doesn't have it.
I get it. Yeah. It's so true. Yeah. It's a great analogy.
Like, we get it.
Yeah.
You have a rambunctious boy.
Yeah.
I have rambunctious boys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, he'll
so
walk
true.
up to me and hit me, and you're like, no, don't stop. And I'm like, it doesn't bother me. I
It's
have
normal.
boys.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Whereas
yeah.
somebody else that doesn't be like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Like, he's just being a boy.
I know. It's so funny because that's Coop to a T, and he does it all the time to strangers. It just is what it is. His principal at a school, which is called the head of school, he actually has to like cover himself every time he sees Cooper because he's beelining right towards him, and he doesn't know what's gonna happen, and so he's always like, "Hey, Coop!" Like eyes split, like, what's gonna happen?
What's next?
And then he has he's not so much rambunctious boy, but he gets it. He knows what to expect. And then I have some friends who don't have kids and they do not know how to handle Cooper.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of always look flustered when they're in my household, and I'm like looking at Coop like, come on, like control yourself. And then at the same time I'm like, he's just a kid, like let him be.
He's like, I'm doing it because it's getting a rise out of you.
It's getting
He's like, and I'm going
rise.
to keep on doing it while you keep rising. I'm gonna
keep doing it. And he does. And so then I had a friend who came and he didn't have kids at the time. Now he does. And he has a Cooper. And it makes me giggle inside.
You're welcome.
All the time. 'Cause I'm like,
every time he came to my house, I'd be like, you're welcome.
It makes me so happy, and it's hilarious because the mom always talks about it because she's wanted a little girl, she wanted a little Waverly, she got a Cooper, and so we just always connect, and it's so true that you can have that connection point. Motherhood, I'm sure it's the same with fatherhood, and any point of connection that you make with someone, which is why it's so important to foster those similarities, because then you can create a relationship with it.
I love the differences.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Absolutely.
But we can all find that similarity, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I love the fact that he's like that.
Yeah.
I think I was probably like that as a kid, and that's probably why my boys are like that.
Yeah, of course.
Actually, Mila is a lot like that too.
She
like,
is,
you know what I mean?
is.
She's just this strong.
Yeah.
Like, I'll jump on everything, jump off everything. Like, she's cautious, like a little bit.
Yep.
Joshua, not at all.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
but I love those personalities because those are those personalities that say what needs to be done. Oh, I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
I'll get it done.
Yep.
I'm not afraid.
Yeah, it's so true. And that is so important to harness in on those and celebrate them.
Yeah.
But it's just like the same with the church. If we can know and not look from the outside similarities, not that, I mean like heart similarities.
Right.
Because, Parkway has 14 different nationalities represented, every gender, every variation of age, and I just love when I go there. And I remember when Gary and I first went there, it was very unlike where we came from, and it felt immutely like home. And pastors always say like, this is like heaven, this is what heaven looks like, but like until they've stepped foot in a place like that,
right,
they're missing out on the goodness that the Lord has for us.
Yeah.
Because when you're brothers and sisters in that way, it's like it's next level.
I'm uncomfortable when everybody looks like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just like somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I go into an all white church, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If I go into an all black church, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It is not because like I don't like it.
Sure.
It's just because like I want difference of opinions.
Yeah.
I want different perspectives. And I know you grew up in the same neighborhood I grew up in. And I want somebody else's perspective.
Yeah.
Because you might do the same thing that I would do.
That's true.
Right? But I need a different perspective.
Yeah.
Like I always talk about monocular and binocular.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A monocular view is only my view. I can
okay.
only see what I can see. That's it.
Sure.
But a binocular view takes somebody else's perspectives, puts it into my perspective too, and I can see a whole lot further that way.
That's
right?
so good.
Like if I go outside right now and I'm trying to see as far as I can see, there's only a limit to how far I can see something.
Yeah.
But if I put on binoculars, that limit stretches way further than if I was just looking through my own eyesight.
That's so true.
Right? So perspective is important. And you have to have people in your life that have a different perspective, that look at things differently, because you might not look at it that way.
That's so true.
I've said things before and somebody's like, well, maybe you shouldn't say that. I'm like, why? Well, because of this. Like, I never thought about it.
Thought about it like that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
and then it's always around us because our spouses, because they're the opposite sex.
Yeah.
that's always going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to have that in friendships and in spaces and working environments that maybe they're not your buddy, but to have that around the table is so important. I totally agree.
I've been in, television production for a long time,
Yeah.
and I get to sit down and talk to people, interview people,
Yeah.
and things like that. So I find that I actually love conversation.
Yeah.
I might not like to talk as much.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually not a talker outside of people I know.
Yeah.
Like I can talk to people I know very well. If I'm in a new room,
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to talk.
Yeah, you're like Gary.
I'm probably going to just sit back and realize some things like,
analyze. Yep.
can't trust that one. Can't trust this one.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take it in, and then when I get to know them, then I'm talking.
Yeah.
And I'm not shy.
Yeah. No. Right.
But I'm also.
You're an observer.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're as much as you're a conversationalist with the people that you know, you're an observer first.
Yeah.
Which then allows that like cautiousness to take place, which is probably where Mila gets it a bit. But
Yeah, and people would be like, "Man, I don't know about Jay.
I don't know what he's thinking.
Hey,
Why isn't he talking?"
Good. I'm not allowing you to.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that, buddy.
That's the purpose. But then it's crazy because when you get up on stage and you're sharing a sermon, and I'd love to hear like how you prepare for those, because I think it's so interesting to hear like the differences on whether it just comes to you, you wake up and you're like boom, or you've written pages of notes, or what that looks like. But when you get on stage, it comes so naturally to you to speak and to share, and it's not just it's definitely not scripted. And I love that about you. I love that it comes from the heart and it comes from your storyline, but then you're so vocal about like connecting people and connecting the concepts to all those different types of people.
Yes.
I think from my experience that I always feel wrecked afterwards. I'm like, man, that was good.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm
So
glad, like I told you, I made a deal with God. If I suck, I'm done.
yeah, that's it. I'm walking off.
Done.
Mic drop in a different
Done.
way. Mic drop. I'm gone.
I'm gonna go be a tugboat captain or something. I'm not doing
That's
this
awesome.
anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the way that I prepare, it's funny. I used to prepare different years ago than I do now.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it was in the PowerPoint, it was in the presentation.
Yes.
Had to be perfect. I need this scripture, this story to go with that.
Yeah.
And then God was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "I'm preparing your word."
Yeah.
He's like, "Without me?"
Oh.
Like, oh yeah, it probably should be.
Shoot.
You should be one of the people that helped me on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what I started to do, I started to just calm down. What are you talking to me?
Yeah.
What am I learning this week?
Yeah.
Right? And then I take that, what I'm learning, like I'm preaching, not this Sunday, but the week after, and God's been talking to me about a whole bunch of different things, conversations with friends about a whole bunch of different things. And really, I want to talk about what do you do after the win?
Yeah.
Because after you have this great battle and you're on the mountaintop and you're like, it's great.
Yeah.
I won.
Yeah.
What do you do after that?
Yeah. That's good.
Elisha challenged all of Jezebel's prophets, killed them all, called down heaven on that altar, and then he ran away.
Man.
Because he was afraid of what Jezebel would do to him because he won.
Because he won. Wow.
What do you do after the win?
Yeah, that's really good.
So,
and hard.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
God gives me a little glimpse of something, and then I have to go research it.
Yeah, that's good.
And so then I'll start thinking about it, and I'll start having conversations with different people.
Yeah.
To me, the conversation with different people helps me craft the message.
Sure, absolutely, because perspective. It's not just yours, which is probably why you are able to touch everyone, because you have that insight. That's really good.
So then then Sunday mornings I have it. Like I'll have I want to go here. I know I want to use this scripture, and I know I want to go here. I know I want to end with here.
That's awesome.
So I'll have my top, I'll have my beginning, and I just fill in the rest.
Cool. I love that.
Kind of how it goes.
It's good. It becomes natural that way.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of conversation with everything that happened on Friday, but then also just over the course of the last few years, and there's been a lot of conversation around revival in our city, and I feel like you are footed in that. And I mean, your lead worship I can't even keep track of your schedule.
I can't keep.
I'm like, where's Jay gonna be? I'll find it on Facebook events.
Yeah.
Oh, he's here tonight. Yeah. And I love that. But I would love to hear like your perspective on that. Like it was shared at session on Sunday about they feel like God's putting Virginia Beach on the map, and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, he's using it for good.
Yeah.
And we're like in a fertile place, and there was so much history around our area already with bringing the Bible to the nation.
Yeah.
And so like and seeing all these pop-up groups and pop-up churches and worship groups, and it's just like, I feel like the city is on fire right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because I was blind to it before, so like just 3 years ago, or is this something you feel like has really taken momentum?
No, I think that it's something that's taking momentum. I feel like probably up and down the East Coast, Virginia Beach is going to be one of the areas that revival pops up in. I think that revival needs to pop off everywhere, really, and that it needs the people who live in that area to help it flourish, because it's indigenous to that area.
Yeah,
we know that sound, we know the feel, we know what people are talking about, what people are experiencing, what people are going through.
That's true. That's
right?
good. Versus somebody coming to your city.
Yeah. But what happens is the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Right. That's what his thing is. Yeah. How much more can he destroy people coming together by trying to pull people apart?
Yeah.
Right. And so then this massacre happens. But now people are saying, no, we're not going to allow it to pull us apart. We're going to come closer together. Right. Because we can't allow the enemy to kill, steal, or destroy. Yeah. We have to know that that is his ploy in the first place. Yeah. Right? Kill, steal, and destroy. Yep. And we have to say that, no. We're not taking that. Yeah. We're going to pray. Yeah. We're going to come together. Yep. Even if it isn't the way that I would like to do it, I'm going to still join and come together with these people, because I know it's because the cost. I remember in the Bible, there was the disciples were coming to Jesus and like, hey, they're preaching in your name over there. Yeah. And he was like, well, are they preaching in my name? Right. Then let them preach. That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Because it's all coming. It's all going to Jesus in the first place. Yeah. All going to God. That's and I think that we get so caught up into what every denomination is doing instead of saying, like you said, what's the similarities? Yeah. That we all want to reach people. Yes. That we all want to help people. We all want people to know who God is. Yep. We all want people to have a relationship with God. Yep. And if that's the case, then my way might not be the right way for that person. I have keys to my house. Yeah. Oh, that's good. I don't have keys to yours. Yeah, that's I could come knock on your door and you let me in, but I don't have keys to yours. Yeah, that's really good. So everybody has a key. Varied, yeah. That's so true. Everybody it's gonna be met different. And so when we think about that, like what's happening in here, everybody has a key. Yeah. Do you want to be a part of it? Then be a part of it. Yeah. If you don't, then don't sit back in the background and talk about it. Right. Spreading the kill, steal, and destroy section of that equation. Yeah. That's the scary part. But at the same time, I feel like the magnitude of force that's happening in force in a loving way. Of course, not force like bad. Right. That's happening that people are, I like literally see it so much, just like jumping on and jumping in, and they're willing to not just risk their own key. They're like, I've got this person, I know this person too, they're coming too. And that's the whole point. And I remember my mom used the word bandwagon, like probably 2-3 years ago to me. We're sitting next to the pool and she's like, don't put all that information out there. Like everyone's gonna steal it and they're just jumping on the bandwagon. And I'm like, but isn't that the point? Like that's a good thing. Right. And before there was like this concept of like copycat, right? Yeah. And like, what does that mean? And my mom always said it was a compliment if somebody copies you, not that they're trying to steal it. Right. And so to have this like bandwagon for Jesus, I'm all in. Like, jump on. Like, let's do it. Oh, you look like me. Yeah, you got it too. Come on. Yeah, exactly. And that is at some point going to be what draws people in. So the person that you're meeting in a space that only you would be in, they're going to be drawn to you because, hey, he's like me and he goes to do this. Yeah. And she's like me and she comes from this background. Yeah. And that's going to happen. It's natural, just the way that happens. But at the same time, if we're drawing them into a space that we're celebrating the differences of the people in the room, the differences of the people that have come together in the same name, under the same same will. Yep. There we go. They recognize, oh, this is different. Yeah. Because God is not one thing. He's not one side. He is so angular. Everybody I know every single person I know wants to be loved.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody.
Yep.
Like, I've seen a lot of hurting people. I have friends that, you know, been to jail, out of jail, in jail.
Yep.
People that are in church, out of church, been to church.
Yep.
We all have that one thing in common. We all want to be loved.
Yeah.
You know? And I think the only way of being loved is by giving love.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
agree.
even when it hurts, when it's hard, like, man, that's hard for me to do, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know that this person is worth it.
Yeah.
And that my time spent with them is worth it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like today, my day was crazy busy.
Yeah.
Right? I get in my car at like 4:20.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm trying to make it there.
Yeah.
There's traffic.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to get here. I'm trying to do this story. So I'm like, Jesse, can you drive? Because I got to get on the phone and I got to look up these pictures because I got a story I got to do tomorrow. And I need to find this picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then everything works out. You get here, you're no longer stressed out. You're no longer like, oh, it's just like,
yeah,
I'm breathing, right?
Yeah.
But everything wanted to stop me from getting here. That's what happens.
Yeah, always. And I feel like it's hard too, and I'm probably walking through this now, is like learning to, as much as you want to love at every given turn, and I have that desire. I feel like when the love isn't reciprocated, even though we're still called to love, regardless of reciprocation, it's a really hard place to be in.
Yeah.
And then two peoples perceive your love differently. So the way you give love, just like we know all the love languages and things like that, is different than how someone else receives love.
Right.
And you're like, I am loving this person hard, and they are hitting me back with some punches.
Yeah.
And why? How? And so it takes time on our behalf. It takes that investment. It takes that I'm going to jump over every hurdle that's getting in my way.
Oh, yeah.
To show you that I love you. Because telling people I love them now, it's not enough.
No.
It's not enough. They need the show and tell.
Yeah. Like, I don't even want to hear it.
Yeah.
Now. Like, I just want to see the way you move.
Yeah.
I'm that type of person.
Yep.
Like, I'm that show me. Like,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I've heard that before. You know what I mean? I'm old enough now to have heard it a couple
Yeah.
times over.
Yeah.
Right.
Prove it.
But yeah, let me see it. Let
Yeah.
me see it in your acts. Even like when I evaluate leaders.
Yeah.
Right, that want to be leaders with
Yeah.
me. Like, I want to see where their heart is.
Yeah.
I want to see what they got going, how they serve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And behind closed
let's
doors.
put people in a
and-
room
Yeah.
and agitate it
Yeah, that's good.
and see what they do.
Yeah.
That's how you tell about a person.
That's so true. That's
Right?
so true. I haven't had a lot of like mentors in my life when it comes to like leadership. I've seen and watched a lot of people, but I've never really had like somebody that I can say like, this is my mentor. And I've been put into my situation at Friends and working there, and it's been such a blessing in so many ways. But there has been it's actually a husband and wife team. I work really close with both of them, but specifically one, and she has had just like the coolest rap sheet. Like if you looked at her resume, you're like, that is so awesome. So many things that a lot of people would aspire and really think that they've made it. And she's still going, still creating, still developing her new ideas. But I've been watching them this year has been just bananas, because they came in and they just wrecked shop in the sense of everything was broken and they're expected to fix it. And fixing things is hard. And it doesn't always benefit everyone, and it doesn't always suit everyone's idea of how you fix it, right? Different perspectives, different scenarios. But I've watched them handle like relationships through it all. And they always put it first above everything, even if they know that they're likely going to get hurt, or that person's going to get hurt based on the experience. And so it's been just such a sweet experience to sit back, because I'm generally the person like, okay, I'll do it. I got it.
Yeah.
I'll lead. I'll be in front. I'll host this. And I've been kind of forced, because of my position, to sit back. And it's so important for us to have those relationships where you can sit back and watch. And like you said, you're an observer. And I love that you suggest doing that in relationships more often, like almost first.
Yeah. I have a friend, we're pretty tight now, and I was coaching basketball, and he coached basketball, and
Yeah.
his son was actually playing on my team. So when I met him, you know what I mean, it was really good conversations and
Yeah.
everything like that.
Yeah.
And then he was like, you know, a couple weeks later, he called me. He was like, hey, I don't know anybody in this area.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really like, you know, we had good conversation. And, you know, I would like to get to know you even more. And I told him, that's great.
Cool.
Like, I think that's great, but it takes me a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't think people understand. Like, I'm brutally honest.
Yeah,
And it's
I love it.
sometimes it's like it throws people off.
Yeah,
I'm just
they're like, wait, is
like
it a
I would
joke?
love to be your friend like right away, but that's not going to happen for
Yeah.
me. And I don't want to give you a false expectation of what
Yeah.
this is.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, it takes me a long time.
Yeah.
Because when I'm all the way in,
Sure.
and the fact of is that once I'm in, you could actually hurt me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we became good friends.
Yeah.
You know, it took a while,
Yeah.
but then we became good friends.
Well, I think.
So I
that-
think-
Go ahead.
I think that it's worth it. Like, you have to understand your self-worth too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one of the things. Knowing who I am. You know, I grew up in a black church, all black church.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And when God called me to lead worship and things like that, there wasn't any worship leaders that looked like me. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm doing this music, and I'm like, God, like, and he's like, I made you like that for a reason, because there wasn't anybody like you.
Yeah.
So just do it. I'm like, well, I don't have an example.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
That
like,
mentor,
because
yeah.
in the black church, they were either gay,
Yeah.
right,
Oh, I didn't
really
realize that.
feminine,
Yeah.
really feminine, and
Yeah.
I'm not,
Right.
right?
Right. Not.
You know, or it just wasn't even the type of worship that I
Yeah.
would do. It
Sure.
was more of this gospel
Yep.
kick and
Yep.
things like that. I'm like, I don't have anybody. And he was
Yeah.
like, well, that's why you're here.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to know who you are, to know he loves you, to know that you have value.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that needs to come out of anything. Like,
Yeah.
know that you have value.
Well,
Once you
can-
know you have value, then you won't discount yourself
Right.
to people.
Well, and then it gives you the capacity to love
Mm-hmm.
and to be loved, because you value that relationship so
Right.
much more, and know that I can love you.
Yeah.
This hard.
And if you don't value yourself, there's
Yeah.
no way that you're going to value me.
No, definitely not. Or they're gonna value something, which was what I was
But
gonna
it's
bring
still
up
not
about this.
valuing the person.
Sure,
You know what I
sure,
mean?
it's
Like, if
not.
I have no value, I might look at you like you have value, but I don't have the capacity
Right.
to give you any value
Right.
because I have no value.
That's so true. And that was what I was thinking when you were talking about this friend. And
Mm.
that's while connection and relationship are
Right.
super important, oftentimes, especially when you have gifting, which everyone does, but when you recognize your self-worth and your value, you become like a light.
Yeah.
And so people are like, I want that.
Right.
I want some of that
Yeah.
light. How do they rub off on me?
And then I'm
How
not
can I
walking
be
around
close
talking
to
about
them?
I'm a light. I'm a light. I'm
Oh,
a light.
no.
Everybody,
Yeah.
I'm a light. I'm a light. Hey, guess what? I'm a light.
I'm a light. It's true. It's people
Yeah.
see it in you though, so then they want it,
Right.
And they're like, "Hey, let's go get dinner. Hey, like start wanting to spend that time with you so that you can
Yeah.
rub off on them." I think that there's value to that, because I think that that's that's important. But you then become lackluster, and so it's very important that the people you're rubbing up with. That sounds sexual. Don't mean it that way. I just mean spending time with that.
Yeah.
You're getting light from them too.
Right.
And there's this symbiotic, I love you, you love me, we value one another, we have value in ourselves. And no, we can't find well lit friends at every turn.
No.
And sometimes it takes our capacity
takes
and
having a bad friend to know
generosity.
what a good friend is.
Yeah. It's a really hard line to walk.
You know what? It was funny because David, right? David in the Bible.
Yeah.
He went into this cave. He's
Yeah.
running away from Saul. He
Yeah.
goes into this cave, but he doesn't go into the cave by himself. He
Yeah.
goes into the cave with all these other men.
Yeah.
And all these other men were deplorables. They were, in debt. They weren't good. They were nasty. They were dirty. He goes in there, and then when he comes out of the cave, it says that his mighty men, David's mighty men, came after. So now, because of who David was, he was able to change them into mighty men instead of what they used to be.
Yeah.
We have to know what our value is so that we can constantly change the people that we're around, not change them and forcing them,
Sure,
but
sure.
it should get better. People's relationships, people's ideas. People should sing better.
Yeah.
People should play better. People should talk better. They should get along more.
Yeah.
But that takes just being able to change your atmosphere, controlling the atmosphere that you're around, and controlling by saying, like, because I'm here, this atmosphere is going to be great. Because I walk into this workplace, this work spot is going to be better.
Yeah. Well, and that's because we don't have to carry the burden of that weight, saying, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded by this many people. There's no way I can make this situation better. It's literally Jesus.
That's it.
And so David walked in with him on his shoulders, passed that around, and the might came not by man, but by God.
Yeah.
And that he's the only one who has that power. We would be exhausted.
Yeah.
Exhausted if we tried to do that by ourselves.
And most of us are.
Yeah. Well,
because anything that we make ourselves, then we have to maintain.
That's right. It's good.
And most of us are. Most of us are exhausted.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to maintain something that we didn't make in the first place.
It's true. Well, and I think that just kind of convicts me in the concept of what I was just sharing with the love concept. I can't love them the way that they need to be loved.
No.
It's his love that exudes from me that they need.
Yep.
And that they will then turn to say, okay, now you're loving me right.
Yeah.
So for me to try isn't gonna create any solution.
No.
Interesting.
Just loving them and allowing God to finish that love, right?
Right.
Like
start sometimes too.
You go through the car wash.
Yeah.
And there's all these sprays and everything like that. But my favorite part is when you're going out of the car wash and it has that the dryer for flow.
Yeah.
Like I'm going there so slowly because I'm trying to get everything going.
Yeah.
And then I pull up to the vacuum and I vacuum it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the finish.
Yeah.
It's the finish.
Yeah.
Like I might be the one using the vacuum, but I'm not sucking it up.
Yeah, that's true. That's good.
You know what I mean?
That's
In relationship,
really interesting.
God is the one who actually we might do the motion.
Right.
Right. But if we did it without the vacuum cleaner, we'd have a little broom. It'd take us a whole lot longer. We'd be picking specks up, especially because we have kids, so they're eating in the back seat. So they got some fruit snacks stuck somewhere. You know what I mean? Like we'll be picking it up by hand.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I think that's the way that we go into relationships a lot of time is that I have to clean everything up.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of using a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick everything up like this. But God's like, I have tools for this.
Yes.
If you just come to me.
Yep, I've got it. It was funny that, on Monday, someone was talking about their van. They're like, I just had to clean this thing. It was a complete mess. And she was like, I used the leaf blower. I was like, that's brilliant. I'm totally going to do that. Just give me that force of air. Like,
throw it all out.
We can be the force of wind because God gives us that ability if we allow him. And we so often have the ability to just say, stay back.
Yeah.
And that's so horrible. Not that he's going to. He has the right of way, the right of passage, but we can get in our own way.
He's such a gentleman, though.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I'll let you do this.
Yeah. I love you, Madeline.
Now I'll get you out of it.
I love that.
Now I'll get you out of it.
Yeah.
He'll
come in. I'll clean it up.
Yeah.
I'll bring the vacuum in after. Yeah. Make it, just refine it. So it's really good. I think my biggest takeaway from today was, there were so many different things. I love spending time with you, but the way you use scripture and you bring it to the table, and you do that all the time, it makes me want more of God. Wow. It makes me want more insight to his goodness, because to be able to provide such a tangible resource for people, I hope the people on the other end learned something new, because I always do every time we're together.
Also, I think God's been telling me lately, like, that glory to glory is also maturity, right? Yeah. The more time that you spend with him, like the more time, like, you know what things I like, what things I don't like. Yep. You know what I mean? Yep. Like Jesse knows that kind of stuff. My wife knows how I want my coffee, how I don't like my coffee. But that only comes by spending time, right? So time currency is really the only currency in heaven. Yes. Is by spending that time with God is where he reveals himself to you. Jeremiah 33:3 says, call unto me and I will show you great and mighty things that you did not know.
That's so good.
Right. And so if I'm spending time with him, I'm calling out to him, I'm asking him for revelation, and I'm spending that time with him. And then I'm not talking the whole time.
Right.
Right. Because we had conversation. We're having conversation. But a lot of times when we pray, we think that it's only one way. We end up having a monologue instead of a dialogue.
Yeah.
Because we're never waiting for God to say, this is what I want to do. Just rest in my presence.
Yeah.
Right? Like with really good friends, like you have to say absolutely nothing. You can just sit in the same room. You see something and then you guys look at each other like,
I know what you're thinking. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's what God wants to do with all of us.
Yeah.
He wants us to know how he feels.
Yeah.
And what he would do in that situation. But the only way of doing that is by spending time with him.
Yeah, it's so true. And circles back to relationship, which is what we premised from the very beginning. And above all, because he is love, it goes back to love, which is our entire purpose for being here. I'm grateful for you.
And I for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I feel like this when I get off with everyone, I'm always like, so when are you coming back? I need to set another date because it's so good. Like Madeline, every time I spend time with her, you guys are such a power couple and such a testimony for Gary and I to like continue in putting in the hard work.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. And it's you guys are so good at being honest about that. And I don't think that a lot of Christian married women who are leaders in the church take that ownership. And so I'm grateful that you guys have that ability to stand firm on the fact that you're imperfect, but you're going towards the right direction together. So thank you.
Onward and upward.
Yeah, always. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and you will hear more from this guy soon, no doubt.
I'm Tamara Andress. I'm your Fit and Faith host, and I am so excited to just be here to share with you other movers, dreamers, shakers, entrepreneurs, pastors, whatever. If you've got a head and you've got a heart, I'm so excited to explore who that is, whose you are, and discover your wholeness, your health, your wealth, and your joy. I love to exude happiness. I want people to know that this is not this came with trial. You guys, this came with a lot of effort. This came with a lot of lows and so many highs. And I want us to experience those together. This is a real community of dreamers, and I'm excited to help catapult your calling, your kingdom experience, the purpose of your imprint on the world, wherever, however that is. So come along for the ride. I'm excited to chat with you. Like, comment, review, send me a DM, send me an email. It's me responding, even though I have an incredible team. And so I'm just excited to get to know you. Let's connect, let's create community, and let's walk in our calling.